Now, this is one comment that I wanted to address, because if I conflated the issue and I got this wrong, I apologize. I want to make this clear. I want to thank Richard Martin here. Okay, stop. Doomcock never said George Lucas was going to buy it, which I agree. I didn't think he did. I thought he said he had a source that said it. That's why I was trying to delineate. But then he goes on to say Cameron, I guess Cameron Pasha said it, speculating on, quote, Sparrow's information. Doomcock has clarified this today even. Stop saying stuff he didn't say. I apologize if I said something that was incorrect. I didn't mean to conflate that. No, because I didn't think, I thought his source had said it. If it was Cameron's source.
Richard's right.
Okay, well then, good. I'm glad he brought that up, because I don't want to say something out of school here. Doomcock's a friend. Bottom line, it's that, we're just talking about what sources, what information gave to him.
It's hard to keep up with all the sources.
Well, that's what I was saying before too, is regardless of what he reported,
anyway, just real quick,
is as you believe what you hear, but yeah.
Hang on, Tom. I just want to say thank you, Richard. We want to get it right, and I'm going to make sure we get it right. We're trying to get it right now. I want to make sure. So if that was Cameron Pasha's source that added the George Lucas thing to it, and I just got it confused, I'm sorry. We got it right now. Thank you, Richard. This is the new one from today, where he said, well, look, I've been bombarded with stuff since that video. Here's the updates I've heard. I'm just going to throw them all at you, so y'all can decide. What do you think is legit or not? I'm paraphrasing, but that's effectively what Doomcock did.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones from today was, well, Lucas was just kind of a thought, but that this source or some other source was saying that they thought that effectively it's a Saudi prince. It's an international oil tycoon, which
I got that email too.
I'm going to jump in line first. I know Nick, you were going to talk, but I'm just going to go jump in line. I don't like talking about rumors, but I'm gonna blow this one out real quickly. George Lucas is only worth $4 to $4.8 billion, depending on the stock valuation on any given day. The question you have to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, is that would you clear out every dollar and dime that you had in order to buy back something that you sold and already, guess what, paid the taxes on from the capital gains? You got to remember, this guy had something that arguably his book value was worth 200 to 400 million when he started it. By the time he sold it at well in excess of $4 billion, he had capital gains taxes that he had to pay off of that. Mm-hmm. And now, even after that, even though the stock price right now is hovering about 80 and 90, and back then it was probably, 42 to 55-ish, give or take, he doesn't have the money to do it. He just doesn't. Plain and simple. So get this romantic. I'm telling everybody, get this romantic idea out of your head that George Lucas is going to buy back Star Wars, because plain and simple, the question you got to ask yourself is that would you go and buy back a house that you already made money on and paid the taxes on if it cost every dime and dollar you had at your disposal, every stock that you had to sell, every dollar in the bank, everything? He would have to wipe himself out at 80 some odd years of age? No.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen this way.
You'd have to buy a house where everybody hates his guts.
I'm killing this right here, right now, that there's no chance that George Lucas is coming back and buying that, because if that happens, and I'm proven wrong, because to me it's basic math. It's a romantic idea. It's a beautiful idea. As a guy who owns 27 lightsabers, I would love it to be an idea that comes true. But get this idea out of your head, because no one does that. No one, it's not going to happen financially. So,
and real quick, just to Mike's point, and I want to be fair about this, is right, because this is the kind of stuff, and we have a new article today from Fortune magazine that we have to cover. So stick around. It's a follow-up to this one from Fortune magazine from a few days ago. The Force has left Lucasfilm. What's gone wrong for the studio behind Star Wars, Indiana Jones? How Disney's Bob Iger can salvage his $4 billion investment. So this is what got, in my opinion, this is just me saying this. This is what got some of the rumor mills, I think, turning in the past week, was this article. This was a big article from Fortune magazine, to call down the heat. And the heat keeps stepping up.
And at this point, isn't it more than $4 billion investment?
Well, yeah, $4 billion from the initial investment, is like we covered a minute ago, is like Disney already has spent $4 billion plus another $5 to $6 billion since then investing into this. So they're about $10 billion in. Now, they received some revenues from the films. They received some revenues from merchandising, licensing. They're attributing certain, I'm sure, portions of revenues from parks and experiences to this. People who buy a Disney park ticket, like to Hollywood Studios, and then immediately go right to Galaxy's Edge, right? They're going to attribute some value of that $200 a day or whatever the hell it is park ticket to that experience.
Well, I've actually been running some numbers back here in the background, and I think they're still $3 billion down based on their total investment. Talking about the extra they put on, I think it's about $3 billion, give or take. I mean, I know these are big numbers, so plus or minus 500 million either way. But I think it's about $3 billion that they still need to bring back in profits in order to make their original purchase worthwhile.
Yeah, and there's a difference to stipulate there. And then, Nick, I want to get your thoughts on all these rumors from this week. But there is a difference for what Pro says $3 billion in the hole. And then the question becomes is how do we divvy that up, right? Are we talking about actual real cash flows, like we received a licensing fee from Hasbro, or we received revenues from toy sales at the parks, or we got actual box office receipts, or Netflix gave us $150 million to license out The Last Jedi after whatever, right? That's real money coming in versus like we talk about all the time with Disney Plus, where Disney literally just cuts a check from the right pocket to the left pocket to license their own content, right? That's fugazi. That's phantom money. That's
how we've gotten into the situation where some of these articles have come out and said that these movies will make a profit. And then you look into it and you realize, oh no.
Yeah, in paragraph 37.
Well, I've even ran into people who have tried to argue that point with me online. And then I've even had to point out that even the trades have had to kind of turn around and cover themselves on this and point out that, oh yeah, by the way, that's how this actually works. So yeah, there is some sort of revenue stream to be accounted for here if you figure in subscribers and all this other kind of crap. But at the end of the day, Valiant's right. It's literally like taking $5 from one pocket and putting in the other and trying to claim you have $10 now when you don't. Yep. You just have $5 at the end of the day.
And I pulled this up because I thought this was a great visual. I think this is from Geek Tyrant. I'm not really familiar with the website. I'm just using this, talking about the rumor that came out. This is what's been going around and perpetuating, what's been discussed this week. But again, it all stemmed from this original article now about a week ago from Fortune magazine. And again, they have a newer one today that we need to get into. But Nick, your thoughts on these rumors, future Star Wars at this point? Do you think Disney would ever divest themselves?
And I want to come back to that Saudi prince rumor after this. we need to come back to that because
this is all part of it.
The corporate. Yeah,
it's wide open. Nick?
Well, as far as the rumors go, I enjoyed listening to the rumors for entertainment purposes only. I don't really put a lot of stock in a lot of the rumors, but I always, file them away in the back of my mind, and I'll be aware of them, and I'll be looking for some of those to come true. And if they do, I'll be like, oh, okay, so this one was true. This person reported it, that sort of thing. But I find it highly unlikely that George Lucas is buying Star Wars back ever. Could there be a clause where he gets first crack at buying it back if they're going to sell it? That's a possibility. But also Disney's put so much money into the theme parks, which is separate from Lucasfilm. And just from me working in the corporate world, I know when you have other divisions within a corporate structure, you still have to pay those other, there's still a money transfer.
So at the end of the day, I like how Mike put this. It's a really nice fantasy to have, but we really have to look at the reality of the situation here. George Lucas is way too old. He got rid of it for a reason to begin with. He's been talking about parting ways with it for years. It's not like if he really, people even forget that Star Wars was kind of something he was saddled with in a weird way. Right? Like, and I know Nick might know what I'm talking about, and some of the other guys here too, in George's history. Like, making Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi got in the way of his marriage and kinds of other things in his life, that when he was done with Jedi, he had initially planned to do 9 films. Then there was a point there where he was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not making any more of these Star Wars movies. And he was hoping things like Willow and stuff would take off. And he hid behind Indiana Jones for 10 years for that very reason. Yeah. And then he kind of came face to face with the reality that people love Star Wars. and he's got to foster this thing through the next generation or nobody else will. And at that point, he was kind of looking outside of himself and saying, well, who else could do this? And at that time, Disney was the only other place that kind of looked like they might be able to handle something like Star Wars. And that's where that whole thing kind of began from back in the day. And he remembered Bob was good to him. Bob Iger was good to him through the Indiana Jones, Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, because that technically lost money for ABC, but Bob kept it on for George to keep a good relationship with George, in the idea that someday they may be able to do something with this. And, you know, Star Wars has always been a big attraction at Disney with the whole Star Tours and things like that. And George has had a really good relationship through that. So this was almost like a natural thing to happen one day. And most of us thought, I mean, when it came to the idea on paper, it made complete sense to everybody.
Yeah. I was
You don't
excited.
Think he wants to buy back the sequel trilogy? You don't think he wants to buy The Last Jedi? He'd have to buy them. You think Disney's going to be like, yeah, we'll sell you the rest of it?
They would come. They would come with them, but I would love if that was to happen, because I would.
Those are the first time I think fans would want to see special editions.
Yeah, because I guarantee you,